Can't hear you.
I bet you couldn't. Good afternoon. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate. I am Brandon Pedersen, aka Papa Pete, and this is Carlos Zamora. He's with InvestorFuse/Carrot. We are here today to talk all things real estate and stuff because there's always stuff going on
Always.
in the world of in the current world that we live in today. What's going on, man? Listen, we got technical difficulties there.
No, I was checking to see if the three-way window would go back, but I just kind of roll with this one. This is the best one we got.
Dude, so fill me in on something.
This morning, you'd be proud of me, partially proud of me. I went to the cold plunge for the first time in a long while. I went up waist deep with a buddy that's a wholesaler down here I met. He is an absolute savage. 37 degrees. He stays in there for 6 minutes. So we did cold plunge first, then we did a leg workout.
Where
He
at?
the gym right by here.
I was asking the name of what is it, the fancy gym? Like, what's the name of the
Fancy
gym?
gym. Anatomy.
Never heard of that one. Okay, keep going. Sorry, I was trying to see if it
No,
was
you're
like
good. You're
another
good. I appreciate one of the context. Anatomy gym. First workout we did together. The guy, he's willing to put himself through pain just to go against his brain. So, and the cold tub there apparently is like the coldest one's like 36 degrees, 37 degrees. Like it literally was painful getting in. I got up to my waist and just stayed in for like 20, 30 seconds. He just went right in, head down, put his head up 6 minutes, was shivering the first 15 minutes.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So I need to build up my tolerance. That was the first time I did a cold plunge. So started the day pretty well. Every week we're going to have new political stuff, which affects the domestic and international or global economy, which affects real estate. So we're going to be jamming about that. Your boy, dude, the Auburn colors suit you well, dude. War Eagle as well.
Bro, I am. Yeah,
It's a nice color scheme.
I am repping Auburn, bro. I'm not wearing it right now, but I got my Auburn hat.
Nice.
I got my Auburn shirt. I am now an Auburn alumni by proxy of my daughter. I'm gonna be prouder of her. It's I can't wait. We're going up for family weekend in a couple weeks, so we're gonna tailgate, do all kinds of stuff. We got an RV. We're gonna be up there at like a local RV park. And they kind of do a lot of events. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. I'm Pennsylvania, so Penn State, Big Ten. When I was growing up, we tailgated. Me and my dad did a bunch of stuff up there, Penn State. But I hear the SEC. I've never been to an SEC game.
Me neither.
I hear that puts Big Ten football to shame. I am very curious because I thought Penn State was pretty top notch. Then again, I was a kid, so I'm very curious to see how SEC football works out.
Well, that stadium, I mean, that's close. That has to be close, if not equal to SEC. The Penn State Stadium is crazy.
I'll
For a
let
primetime rival game.
So Penn State Stadium. Yeah, I don't have a lot to compare it to, but
Happy Valley.
Happy Valley. I don't know I'd have to Google when the last time they did any renovations. It's a very it's a decent stadium. I mean, it's nothing special now. The stadium at Auburn, I haven't been inside of it, but it looks pretty top notch. I'm excited because we walked around. We couldn't get inside when I took my daughter to tour there. So I'll have more in 2 weeks for you to compare the two and let you know which stadium I think is better, which tailgating. I do know, although I'm not doing it, they offer a white tent service for $1,500, so that ranges in value. But they basically reserve you a spot on the tailgate lawn right outside of the stadium or in different spots throughout campus. They set you up to 10 tables. You could do doubles if you want, but the single is a 10 table, 10 seat with a TV, with a cooler and ice. And rumor is that you can also on the side get catering too from another service. I don't know how that works. But they sell these things, and I was showing my wife. I'm like,
sounds like your kind of business.
I'm like, listen, I don't know how often we're going to be doing this, but I can't say we're going to test this out this time, just like going up there, raw dogging it. But if this is going to be a thing for years to come, this is more my style.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's going to be something. So we're going to check that out too.
That's awesome, man. That's super exciting. It's crazy. Football's next week. I didn't even realize. My team is playing next week. Ravens play next week. Or Thursday. They're playing a week from tonight.
Yeah. Did you hear what they did with football? Now letting private equity owners in.
I didn't. That sounds interesting though.
It's the dumbest thing ever. I love listening
Well,
to Robert Kraft talk about like how good this is. It's a crock of shit, and this is just for me because it's like anytime you let private equity in to anything, it ruins it. And
hmm.
listen, I'm happy for it because I hope one day, my fund, my investments will be big enough that I'll put together a fucking private equity fund just to go buy a share of the Miami Dolphins. Like that's cool.
You either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
But like, here's the thing. I always felt that sports ownership was royalty.
Mm.
That the families that had it were the modern day royals of America. And listen, that's not trying to put people up on a pedestal. It's just in America, we don't have, you know, we have certain families. We have the political dynasties, we have the
Hmm.
business dynasties, right? And like, some people would say like the Kennedys are royalty, American royalty. The Trumps for modern day American royalty. The Rockefellers, Vanderbilts. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
these names you have of these generations, and you have certain families like the Fords who own a team and these different people who have them. And now it's not even about you. You're just going to use other people's money that you pull together to go do this. I feel like it takes away from it personally.
I feel that. I can definitely feel that. Speaking of private equity too, getting into another sector, buying home services businesses, HVAC, roofing companies. So for an update for the week too, I sold a dude just because he wanted to use it so much, a Carrot website HVAC. For those of you guys who were on the Evergreen webinar, marketing webinar yesterday, Brady had a slide showing an HVAC slide and also a roofing one because we've been getting a ton of roofing leads, people that want to build roofing websites with us. So one dude who's actually moving here tomorrow has 2 nationwide sites with Carrot that are crushing right now. And he's like, it's a roofing company that was recently bought by private equity. So they have funds to really run it up, spend a bunch of
Yeah,
marketing, and he's going to run it with a Carrot site. So that was a really cool win, and hopefully foreshadowing of things to come, getting just more into the home services.
I could see that.
Yeah, but he's pretty much going to be mocking out or tweaking out an HVAC template for a roofing company, which is cool.
I dig that.
Mm-hmm.
Roofing is the way to go. But private equity, I mean, they're going to get their hands in everything, and what's the stat? I looked this up for one of my articles on my blog because I was talking about raising capital, and I believe it's like $80 trillion looking to be placed of private money that needs placed, and it needs to go somewhere. And the problem is the more money we pump into the system, I mean, you can give a poor person money through the stimulus checks and all that. It's always going to wind up in the same pockets in the end. It's always going to wind up in the business owners, the wealthy, the ones who have assets. They're going to take that money from selling something and reinvest it, and they're just going to grow their wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking at something like that, right, and you're sitting here saying, okay, like these private equity firms are going to take all this money and they're going to come in and they're going to buy all these companies and they're going to buy our houses, they're going to buy our companies. Like, people need to place that money. They don't have a choice. They used to buy big companies. There's not a lot of big companies where the juice is as good as the squeeze anymore because of all information being known.
Mm-hmm.
We know with the advent of the internet and the information age, these big companies that you could once, maybe you knew something or there was something that someone else didn't realize, you could extract that value. Where is that anymore? It's not in the large publicly traded companies anymore, these big organizations. Where is it? It's in the mom and pop who doesn't know how to use social media. It's in the mom and pop who doesn't know how to have a website for SEO, or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, they don't have
Yeah.
ads running. They don't have a billboard. They don't have anything. They're just running off of word of mouth like they have for the past 30 years. Same thing with houses. The reason why they got into houses in 2012, 2011 is because long before Zillow and Instagram and all these things came out, there was a limited info. You just couldn't go buy the data that we could buy today back
Mm-hmm.
then, and they capitalized on it. And it's the same thing I feel with home services. Right now, you have this just spread out thing of these mom and pops, and they're coming in and snatching them up, consolidating them, corporatizing them, and they're going to systematize it to a way to where they create a portfolio, sell it to the next guy up the ladder.
And that's even some HVAC operators I've spoken with, had the pleasure of speaking with.
Yeah,
they're like, I'm going into this to sell this to private equity 3 to 5 years down the line.
100%.
That's interesting.
And pretty soon, like, you have to start to ask yourself, like, pretty soon, because so going back to like poor people, like, money will always wind up back in the hands of the wealthy. If that premise is true, if you believe in that premise, that no matter how much money you take from the rich and give to the poor, that it'll always go back to the same people because the poor don't know what to do with the money, then you have to say, then there's even going to be more money in the future that needs to be placed. And it needs to find a home. So what's next? What's next after that? You know what I mean? Like, dude, they're buying everything and anything that they can and portfolioing it. And home services is the latest flavor of the month for the past like 3 years.
How long do you think that's going to continue for? That being the flavor.
Until there's no more profit.
And how long is that going to be like a long time?
I have no idea, dude. You probably know better than I do. I mean, I don't know the stats of how many businesses there are or how many of them there are or what the age of the owners are and they're retiring. But I mean, I can say that, like, I think it's a great, all things aside, no matter how much I feel that that's unfair, I also would not hesitate to sell to the private equity firm.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, I hate developers. I hate the fact that people are killing our land, but I also happen to have a spare 20 acres next to my property.
Right.
That, I'm going to add some mobile homes to. And it's like, there's that part of me that's like, no, save the trees. And then there's the part of me that's like, that's a lot of money I'm just letting sit there that I could put some homes. And then I rationalize it with affordable housing. Well, people need housing. Well, so do squirrels.
It's one of those things in life when you're just looking at it from your perspective, you can give a strong opinion or feel strongly that you're right in this should happen or that should happen.
Yeah.
But when you're in the situation, it makes you hard. It makes you really think, like, man, who am I to judge? Because I might do the same thing if I was in that position. You know, 100%. That happens a lot of times in life.
I mean, I have a feeling about it, but it's like, and I have a feeling about the way private equity buys single family houses, but like, I'm no better. I raise money and I buy mobile home parks and I raise the rents, and you know what I mean? Like, I systematize and I change the status quo, and there's good and there's bad with that. I don't know.
It's evolution. It's human evolution. It's food chain. It's a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the problem in and of itself is the fact that there is that much money that needs to be placed.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem, is there's that much money that needs placed. So, I mean, I don't know what'll be next. Now it's sports teams, and football is only the beginning. Football is literally only the beginning sport. I mean, I'm sure there'll be more to come.
Yeah, I didn't even see that yet. What I saw football related was Deion Sanders pitching to Saudi investors to invest in NIL money to be able to pay students to go there and then getting like a return on that. Did you see that?
I did not see that. Deion Sanders, bro.
That's interesting. Your boy Cristiano Ronaldo too started a YouTube channel, like fastest rising YouTube channel ever, most followed person on social media. Speaking of someone that went to the Saudi league, he was kind of a trendsetter 2-3 years ago, being the first like star to go to the Saudi league just for like an insane amount of money, and then a wave of players.
People hated him for that.
Yeah.
They hated him for that. There's
Messi
backlash. Yeah.
Your boy Messi decided to do a different deal where he stayed in the MLS, stayed in the United States.
He went to Miami.
Went to the Inter Miami team, but he did a deal. Part of his deal going there was like a deal with Apple, who's streaming the league, that he gets a cut of. Maybe Apple Music, a few things with Apple TV, Apple Music. He like has his own. He like shares his playlist. So he did a different deal where he may not be getting paid as much as Cristiano Ronaldo just on a player basis, but it's an exponential move of essentially like, hey, I'm going to be a brand ambassador and get paid from Apple and the streaming service, and
100%,
everything.
dude.
So
Caleb Williams tried that in the NFL. Was
he
trying
did.
to get, like, fuck you. I think
He
he's
at least
gonna
throw
be,
that out.
I think he's going to be horrible.
Do you really think so?
I do.
You kind
I
of got
do.
Bears colors on right now, but we all know
So,
that's War Eagle.
This is War Eagle, bro. This is War Eagle.
Have you been watching Hard Knocks at all? I watched the first episode.
So that's what I was gonna say, right? And I get it's a TV show. Okay, one, I've read the articles, watched some of his stuff through YouTube of like just in his interviews from before when he was in college and he was getting ready for the draft. And it's just like, you know, the vibe I get from him. And I'm not saying, because I watched the Johnny Manziel documentary, and I'm not saying he's like Johnny at all in the partying or anything. Obviously, we haven't had any of those reports. But the arrogance level, and I get arrogance and confidence are a very fine line that if you cross over, it could be deadly. But if you walk that line and you could dance with the devil long enough, like you could definitely benefit from it, and it could excel your career to have that level of arrogance, and you just walk that confident line. But like, man, I don't know. And I was watching Hard Knocks through the last year with the draft. Like, so they did the in season with the Giants or in draft season. So they went through the draft with the Giants, and they had kind of went through Caleb and the other quarterbacks because they were obviously anybody in their right mind would want to replace Daniel Jones. Only the Giants find a worse version of Eli Manning. Like, and Eli was good, but he was also shit. Eli was one of those polarizing players that either he was extremely good or so horrible you wondered how he made it to the NFL.
Yeah, I'm an Eli guy. I'm definitely an Eli guy.
Listen, I had him on my team. We had many a good convos. Me and him yelling at the TV is like when he's throwing like 4 touchdowns in a game, and then he's throwing 6 picks the next game, and it's like, dude, like what's going on? And Caleb is like, I don't know. I just feel like he may not live up to it. I just don't know if he'll live up to it. I don't think he was that great of a player. And then he was switching teams in between. And obviously he's chasing that. And I think he's doing it for all the wrong reasons. I don't know.
I think like in any type of work situation, I think he's lucky to be have a good supporting cast on his offense, where a lot of teams that drop at the top. Apparently the wide receivers are good. I've been out of the fantasy game for a while, but a lot of my friends back home are huge into fantasy, like massive fantasy guys. So it seems like he's a good supporting cast. I like Keenan Allen and DJ Moore.
I don't think their offensive line is that good.
That's huge, yeah.
I don't think their running backs are that good. You know, there's a Justin Fields wasn't that bad of a quarterback.
He wasn't
per se. I think it was the entire surrounding and the coaching staff that made it bad. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to play, but I'm very what's his name? Bo Nix. So I'm really watching Bo Nix. I want to see what he does. And then was it JJ McCarthy? Didn't he get injured? He got injured.
I think he's out for the year.
Yeah. JJ McCarthy, because I was watching the game. Yeah, because I was watching the game, and then there's Drake May from North Carolina, correct? I think he was from North Carolina. I was watching a game, and I read it on the stat line at the bottom, and I thought to myself, because I really thought he was going to be good, and I was like, could you imagine that? Could you imagine being that quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, and not even getting your chance to play in a game, like obviously a real season game, and showing what you could do, and like, do you come back from that? Like, I hope he does. As any young, like, I hope that's a shitty thing for a young kid like that. Like, I mean, he based his entire life and the sacrifices he made for that to happen. Like, that sucks. It's like Boobie Miles in Friday Night Lights, you know?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm pumped for the Ravens game Thursday. It kind of snuck up. On me. I didn't even realize it was next week, but I'm pumped.
Yeah, your guys is. I don't know what to say about you, bud. I don't know what you got going on this season that you're pumped about.
Ravens?
What are you pumped about? Tell me what you're pumped about with the Ravens.
It doesn't really start the Ravens, Derrick Henry is cool, but overall Ravens fans, like actual Ravens fans, they're just at a point now where it's like, dude, it doesn't even matter. It really doesn't matter to the playoffs because Lamar
You're just like, at this point, I'm just hoping. I think Lamar is a poor man's Michael Vick.
I think he's way better than Michael Vick. He has to show it in the playoffs. He's young.
He hasn't shown it like
he's
ever.
Like 26, 27. 2 MVPs.
Yeah,
he's
I don't
good.
feel like MVP is anything. Listen, he gets injured. Does he not?
He's way better than Michael Vick. I'll say that. He's way better than Michael Vick. But Michael Vick, I mean,
better.
Michael Vick had good stats.
How about
he
Michael
won a game
Vick?
at Green Bay.
How about Michael Vick the year he came back from prison, his first year
That was
as
sick.
an Eagle? That was like a
That was sick.
glorious like tale of a season. I had him on my fantasy team. I was
That was
crushing
sick.
everybody. It was the most magical
Him and Deshaun
season.
Jackson.
Yeah, and LeSean McCoy, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
LeSean was the running back
Mhm.
and Chip Kelly was the quarterback, and it was insane. So the reason why I make fun of the Ravens is because I have Derrick Henry. So we play a dynasty league. So I've had Derrick Henry on my team since he was a pup. Like I feel like I've raised him.
Love
And
that.
and at a certain point, like when you run a dynasty league, you really have to consider like when you're dropping somebody or trying to trade him. And I tried trading Derrick Henry last year and nobody would take him because of his age and the miles on his legs. And obviously I wanted a pretty hefty penny. I could have traded him for some subpar people, but I felt like he was worth a lot more. Now he's with the Ravens. And we have to pick our keepers by the end of the day today. We're allowed to keep 3 players for free every year. And then I can keep as many as I want after that, but I have to pay more into the pot. So I have to pay an additional $20. Our league gets up pretty big. It could be anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 could be the pot that we split in this league. So like I'm looking at Derrick Henry and I'm like, man, there would have been a time when I would have just not hesitated. But he's on the Ravens. And they haven't had a solid running game in so long, like where they've just dedicated one back crushing it.
Mhm.
And he's old by football standards.
Mhm. He is. He is old and has the attempts for football standards for sure.
So I don't know what to do.
I think he's like LeBron in a sense, though. Like he's an outlier, like an Adrian Peterson.
LeBron's not getting nailed by a 300-pound defensive lineman 24/7.
Just the principle for the amount of minutes, though. For the amount of minutes he has and just the points in use, more of a usage thing and age overall, 40, 41. Derrick Henry, I think, is like Adrian Peterson. I think it would be worth keeping him for sure. It's all relative to who else that you have, though, right?
Well, so every pick that I do is a draft position. So if I pick 3 people, I start drafting in 4 because they're round 1, round 2, round 3. Those would be my 3 keepers. So I have to make sure that who I'm picking is worthy of the round that I'm essentially giving up. If I drop my whole team, I start drafting in round 1. So some guys, like our commissioner whose team sucks, he'll be dropping his whole team most likely. At least I hope he does because it's pitiful. He'll drop it and he'll start in round 1.
Gotcha. That's interesting.
So you do it that way. It's a pretty good league.
Who do you have? Who are like your players? Who's on your radar potentially keeping? Derrick Henry towards the bottom of that.
So I got Brock Purdy. I'm going to keep my quarterback. I'm dropping Justin Herbert over Brock. I'll keep Brock Purdy instead. I got
who's like a fantasy. Depending on people, like argue whether he should be MVP, but his numbers were like insane, weren't they? For fantasy.
Brock Purdy's insane, dude. Like I think he gets a bad rap.
In
Justin Herbert was wild, and I don't know. They got rid of all the good weapons, so I'm going to drop him. So I'm going to keep him. Puka Nacua, I cannot pronounce his name, as my receiver. I had Devon Chain, from Miami.
Yeah.
So I'll keep him. I got Isaiah Pacheco as a running back. I had a pretty good core. I crushed last year, and then I finished 3rd, and I would have, obviously anyone would say it, but had it not been for injuries, I would have done a lot better. So I'm going to keep those guys. So I'm looking at 4 if I keep, or 5 if I keep Derrick Henry, because I know I'm keeping Purdy, Nacua, Chain, and Pacheco. And then I was like, do I really need to keep another running back when I don't know? The Ravens have never produced a solid running game where they've said, this is my guy, and I'm just going to work him.
But they're like the best running attack in the league. Them and the Eagles.
Are they though?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
They've never had
a crush.
But they never had
mark this pre-record.
They've never had a number 1 running back in years.
J.K. Dobbins, if he's healthy, and I think Henry's going to get a lot of load.
J.K. Dobbins, you know what, dude? That's cool.
Don't get started. Cool. The producer's saying don't bring up J.K. Dobbins.
I'm just like, listen, dude. I tried him. Okay, I tried him. Fuck this guy.
He got hurt.
I know, just like fuck you, dude.
Derrick Henry, dude. One thing I like about Derrick Henry too, I saw he fasts every day, straight fast until 4 or 5 o'clock.
Oh well, that's it. You changed my mind. I didn't know that. So you went deep personal research. That's it. Anybody who fasts is regenerating his cells so much. He's like superhuman.
Dude,
I'm
and
gonna keep
him,
him.
imagine
Keep
playing
him.
a game. He plays games days fasted. Could you imagine that? Like a 1 o'clock Eastern game. He
He
just
does.
ripping
This
completely
changes
fasted.
my mind completely about him. You could have just altered the course of the season, Carlos. If I win,
Dude,
if I
good.
win the Super Bowl this year, go rewind this back. I'm
Seriously.
taking you out for a steak dinner, bro.
Dude,
We're
I
gonna
love
no,
that.
I'm not. We're gonna go to Aldi's. We're gonna pick up some
I'm
fresh
down.
ribeyes.
Some
We're gonna
stogies and we'll
marinate them.
cook. Even
Yeah,
better.
and we're gonna do
Even
that
better.
instead. Yeah, we'll go to
I'm down.
Aldi's.
I'm down. Miami or here. I'm down for either one. Or Miami or your neck of the woods. I'm down either one. But no, that was like that encouraged me to get back on my fasting game. I'm like, dude, if this guy can work out in the morning and play an NFL game fasted and be like the biggest mutant freak, I need to get back to I need to be more consistent fasting because you just feel more locked in during the day.
Oh
in my
yeah,
opinion, for me.
100% true. I was gonna say something. We're just talking football this whole thing, and I'm very curious because I'm pretty sure Cam Newton's brother's on the Auburn team this year,
like a cornerback or something.
Yeah,
or cousin, his cousin or something.
I thought it was could be. I was gonna look into it. I ran across it because I now follow everything Auburn. I joke with my daughter that I'm more Auburn than her. I'm always sending her shit like, "Hey, do you know
more
this
Auburn
is happening
football
on campus? Like, do you know that this is happening on campus?"
That's got to be exciting.
Oh, I'm stoked. I'm vicariously living through my daughter. But yeah, I'm very curious. I was going to go do some research to see what was going on. Cam Newton's a wild character. He also was a quarterback that I felt never really lived up to what he could be, and I felt that's because although the Carolina Panthers had a good setup for him, they just were never good. They just every year it was almost. They'd make it. They couldn't. You know what I mean? Like, and when they had Christian McCaffrey, I just felt like they wasted him. He was phenomenal.
Still is a freak. He still is a freak.
But look what he did for them and never got anywhere with it. He goes and applies the same effort with the Niners.
The Super Bowl team, when they made the Super Bowl and lost in the Super Bowl, I think they may have had a 15-1 season made to the Super Bowl, but they lost in the Super Bowl. Was McCaffrey on that team? Because then that changes things. Like if Cam had won that Super Bowl, then it's like, okay, then you're kind of like relatively good no matter what else you do in your career. But they lost that Super Bowl.
I did not know that they went 15-1, so that may be. I'm having a time lapse.
Let me have the producers.
Are we actually looking at stuff right now? This is a real estate show, and we're just talking football at this point.
Well, it's related. Let's see.
Do you hear Patrick Mahomes and his wife are now endorsing Donald Trump?
No, do not tell me that. Is that true?
So I can't say for sure that Patrick Mahomes is, but his wife definitely is and is blowing up the internet because she's friends with Taylor Swift. And now people are saying that her and Taylor Swift aren't going to be friends. This is the most wild. The fact that politics and
really
pop
quick,
music,
the Panthers did. I'm not even a football guy, but I kind of just know it by osmosis. It was Super Bowl 50. They went 15-1 and then lost in the Super Bowl.
What fucking year? Like I know what Super
I need
Bowl
to
50
look.
was.
Let's see. 2015.
He was not in. McCaffrey's not that old. He hasn't been in the league 10 years.
And that's when Cam won MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, went 15-1. That team was insane. Yeah, I can't imagine McCaffrey was on that.
Yeah, he came in like what? Oh shit, dude! What year? 2007. It's 2017.
Yeah,
because I tried picking him up, and he crushed for a while. But I only got him last. I put him on my team last year in my other league. Anyway, so I want to wait.
Mahomes' wife.
Yeah, the whole stuff's going on, dude, with the politics and the pop music now, with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's got the dream team going for him. They're calling it the Unity Party now.
Your boy Bobby went over there at some point.
Bro, that dude's playing. So you want to know what's funny? Is they spend the last 6 months trying to keep this man off the ballots, right? You know that, right? Like that's been the whole thing. He's literally was getting sued and trying to be removed from ballots. He goes over to Trump, and now they're not letting him remove himself from the ballots that he wanted to remove himself from.
I did see that.
And it's like, how is this not blatantly obvious? And I was watching I was watching somebody else's post, and she was saying she had this very good point talking about the 2020 election and our current election and stuff, because you saw Mark Zuckerberg came out and
Hmm.
admitted that
That was crazy. Now
that
that's
was
like
great.
crazy and scary. I
Okay,
think I may have
and
sent you that
it's
as soon as I
it's
saw
not
it.
scary because we've been
Yeah, it
saying
is.
it for 4 years, but I've
Well,
been
it's been
called a
scary.
conspiracy nut. I say it, and everyone's like, "Ah, dude, you're overlooking into it. That's not possible. That's not happening. You're just conspiracy." How many things have to happen for conspiracy people to be proven to finally just be vindicated and be like, dude, like I'm just gonna listen to you from now on.
Hmm.
Like you're fucking right. Does Bigfoot need to walk
Hmm.
downtown just like walk, hey guys, like I'm
Probably.
here? Like
So there will still be some doubters after that.
we've now proven aliens. Like all this stuff has happened. And at this point, Mark Zuckerberg comes out and nobody, like I don't feel like it's getting its due. Like
Mm-mm.
people are just washing over it. And
Yeah.
so Brittany was asking me, and she was like, why are people not caring about this? Like, why is this not a bigger thing? And I go, because nobody cares. She goes, well, why don't they care? They should care. I'm like, because it's old. She said, but it's
Hmm.
new. We just found out. And I'm like, yeah. But the thing is they already made people believe that it didn't happen. And this is so long ago. This is like 4 years ago. That now, even if the truth comes out and proves what they did was malicious and wrong, it's so long ago, and you already believe them that they
Hmm.
didn't do it. That now, when you see this, it kind of just bleeds through, and you're just like, yeah, whatever.
That's true for some people.
And it's very true for a lot of people, and it's true for a lot of like bad things. Like if I come
Hmm.
back and admit something that I did 4 years ago, be like, yeah, it was 4 years ago, man. Like, whatever, dude.
Hmm.
And that's what's happening. So they don't care that all these things. It's like the 2020 election and the Georgia results and all this stuff. And it's like everyone, you start finding out that these votes are, hey, we're missing this and we prove this. People are like, stop whining. It's 4 years ago.
Hmm.
And it's like, dude.
Crazy,
Now
man.
you have a royal family in the Kennedys coming over and telling you what's wrong with the Democrats, telling you that he's switching from being a Democrat to now joining Trump's unity party and that you should too. And now they're accusing him of SA. They're saying that he SA'd a woman. I don't want to say it because then,
Oh,
I
got you, got you,
swear I
got you.
swear a lot, but like that'll get us taken down. And I saw these posts where people are saying that he had done this to somebody and it was swept under the rug or whatever, and he apologized to her via text message. And it's like, is that what happens now? You become a
Hmm.
Republican and you immediately start making these accusations against a man that previously everybody loved. And he was a Democrat and he's from this family that was like a royal bloodline in the Democratic family. And his
Hmm.
family disowned him and made a post disowning him.
Crazy.
It's wild.
Another wild thing you may have saw. I saw Pace. I think Pace made a video about it or a post about it. You're gonna have to loop me in here, and this may not be as professional, just coming on podcast and just being like, "Oh, I heard this, I heard that," instead of having everything ironed out. What's the deal with California that's already been giving people down payments, like people that aren't actual citizens payments? That's like a thing.
I was
I've
not
seen
aware.
multiple
I
people.
was not aware that they had already handed out the money. So
Yeah, like
what they
1,700 people.
want to do? California is the very
It's
epitome,
crazy.
of a failed socialist state. And they have taken, what was it? I'm going to mess this number up. It was like $24 billion to solve homelessness. They effectively gave each on the services they spent $88,000 per homeless person.
Hmm.
$88,000 per homeless person per year. And they still didn't solve homelessness. You could just give the motherfucker 88 grand and he can go rent himself an apartment.
Mm.
Instead, the bureaucracy of it all, and they took this money from the taxes that they're charging people and the mansion
Hmm.
taxes and all this money that they're charging, which is why people are exiting. And now they go and do this, and they're like, "Hey, you
Same
know
thing.
what?
That's where the taxes. That's what they say. The
We
taxes
want
are
we
paying
want to
for it.
make it easy for immigrants to buy houses
Hmm.
here." And it's like, dude, are you shitting me right now?
Hmm.
So yes, they want to give free money to the immigrants. to essentially get houses that are already in a short supply for Californians. And that's where we're at right now, dude. So I was not aware that it actually happened. I thought it was being passed. I didn't know Newsom actually got that pushed through because I honestly thought it was so stupid. I didn't believe it's just like Kamala Harris's $25,000, I think. But Kamala has this thing where it's like 25K, but you have to be a first time home buyer for the first time in your family or something like that. And it's like, where's all this money coming from?
Taxes.
That's not true. Can't come from taxes because our taxes don't currently even cover the bills that we have. That's what people don't get. People say, hey, we're going to pay this with this tax and this tax. We're currently running $1 trillion in the deficit. I don't see how you could just say we're paying this. It's like this. I make $100,000 a year, and I have a house and all my bills. There is a yacht that I want to go buy that's $1 million yacht. And you say, Brandon, how are you going to pay for it? Well, from my salary. Well, I mean, your salary is only $100K, and like you already spend all this. How are you going to pay for this yacht? With my salary, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I make money.
I need Derrick Henry to have a good season this year.
and that's what people don't get. Is like, well, Brandon, you already spent all your money on groceries, food, housing, insurance, all cell phones, all this. You have none left. And you actually are in debt. You're in credit card debt. So how are you buying this yacht? Don't worry, bro. I got a salary. And that's what I feel Kamala Harris is doing. Like, don't worry. We're going to tax them.
Pace is putting out good videos on taxes and, just being like down the middle politically and just explaining it. Obviously, it favors one party is going to be more beneficial towards business, finance in general. But Pace is putting out some good content around that. I want to, instead of just catching clips, I want to sit down and like watch the whole thing and hear his perspective.
I've seen some of it. I mean, I haven't watched all of it, but yeah, I mean, he just iterates on a lot of what's been going on with these policies and like the effects of stuff too. And it's like, the thing is, it's not about a party system here. Okay. I don't think anybody realistically believes that's inaccurate. I do believe there are people who realistically believe it. I think that's because they're uneducated and uninformed and are ignorant of how life actually works. But I believe any sane person, any educated person doesn't actually believe that what Kamala Harris is presenting is even feasible. It is not feasible to tax unrealized gains. That doesn't even make sense how they would begin to do that. Right? And like enforce that and work out all the kinks. It's infeasible that they're going to give $25,000 to buy homes. It's infeasible that they're going to say they're going to build 3 million homes. How are you building them? Are you going out with a hammer? What are you going to do? But what they do constantly when you're talking about a socialist party, because that's what it is, not a Democratic party. They're making socialist promises. They're
to get votes.
To get votes. That's what I'm getting at, is basically they're offering money to the lower class because they know that the majority of people, remember, 99% of people are broke. It's only the 1% that make, what is it, over $300,000? And right, you need at least 180,000 to even be close to middle class in today's economy. So if you're making 90 grand, you're fucking broke. Okay, and they understand that most people are like that. And then you got a bunch of people who can't buy houses. You have people who can't fucking pay bills. They see Elon Musk, they see the wealth, and they say, I want some of that. That's not fair. And so what do? They appeal to that. And they say, well, we'll do this. And we'll do this. But what people don't realize is they don't understand how inflation works. Inflation is not about high prices. Everyone thinks inflation is the rise in prices. No. The rise in prices is a result of what causes inflation. The cause of inflation is government spending or the injection of money into our monetary system. So when you pull money out of thin air, so what you said about taxes is inaccurate, right? Because we don't even have enough taxes to pay our current bills. We're running a deficit. So they need to print more money to pay these things like we did in COVID, hence the inflation rise. And they blame it on price gouging. Price gouging isn't even true. And then they go after Kroger for saying that, they admitted to price gouging. He didn't really admit to price gouging. And they're like, grocers on average only profit between 1% to 2% a year. There's not a lot of price gouging happening. The real problem is the government, and nobody wants to admit it. the government's the problem.
Mhm.
And now you 25 grand, and where are you going to get that? We're going to tax unrealized gains.
Over 100 million, is that a thing?
How is, I don't know about the threshold. It's a lot lower than that, I thought, but I don't know the exact threshold, and it's for certain people.
Mhm.
And it's like, how does that work? And what happens when I lose it all? They haven't worked the kinks out. So to think it's a promise that'll never actually happen,
Mhm.
but it doesn't matter because they'll get your vote,
Right.
and that's what I think is sad.
Yeah, I think that's not that specifically, but I think a lot of politicians have done that over time on all sides.
No, yes and no. I think there's a difference between pandering for votes and making a promise that you think you can actually do and then failing to do it. I think politicians notoriously have visions of grandeur, thinking that, like, I would love to do this for the American people, but
Mhm.
can't, and they find out the opposition is greater. But what Kamala, any educated person already knows, that is not economically possible to do what she has said.
Mhm.
You can't build 3 million homes. You're the government. You can't give houses away. You can't give 25 grand for all these families. We have no money. You can't do that and lower prices. You can't set pricing for corporations. Every country that has tried has failed. There's literally warning signs everywhere, and somehow people are like, "Oh, dude, like this is gonna work."
Mhm.
Sorry, dude. I went on a
No, you're
rant,
good.
but
You're good. You're good. You're good. How's that affecting real estate? Where do you think like the real estate market? No, I think specifically, just like how do you see the real estate market the back half of this year?
I mean, I was talking to a lady yesterday about selling her house, and I was just telling her, I was like, regardless of whether Trump or Biden win, I think they're going to lower the rates. Jerome Powell came out and said that he thinks it's time to cut rates. Whether he does or that's just again pandering for the Democrats for votes,
Mhm.
because once you see that, Biden's going to get the credit for it. So I think rates will come down. They're kind of touching around that 7, and I saw people talking about it was a little below 7, 6.8 or something. So I
Mhm.
think like that's good. But what worries me is we already have people who can't afford the houses, and it has nothing to do with the interest rates. It just doesn't. Like, interest rates have helped stabilize our real estate market from going haywire. So
Mhm.
the high interest rates is a good thing. It's creating a barrier to entry that we didn't have, that I think we need. But the problem is if you don't solve the other problems for Americans, what's going to happen is we're still going to have to pay $300 a week for groceries for our family of 5. And now you just made me have to bid 20 grand over list price on a house because you lowered my monthly payment again. But now I'm overpaying for a house yet again. And now house pricing is going to skyrocket again, which
Mhm.
is bad for the consumer, but good for anybody who holds assets. So to answer your question, yeah, I think real estate's prices are going to go up again. I still think there's going to be something that needs to happen to bring us back to reality. And I thought it was going to be like more of a soft thing, right? Like, we're going to keep interest rates up for a few years. That's going to be good. I thought Trump would come in, he'd start pumping the economy, right? People getting jobs, people making money, everything starts working well, groceries come back down, money's flowing again, and then interest rates slowly inch back down after that.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that's going to happen.
Will be interesting to see, man. Will be interesting to see for sure. What's good in the mobile home park space this week? What's going on?
It's always something, dude.
I like the
Um,
TikTok. The TikTok content's good.
I got 10 videos in queue um, that I got to post that I was kind of holding back on because I was trying to like put them together, and I finally finished like getting my clips together this morning, and it's like, yeah, there's always something, dude. Like, we're kicking people out. So I got a couple of videos of me going through empty units and booting people out, but like, um, we are getting a lot of people. So what I'm noticing, it's everything that I just said about politics. People
Mhm.
don't have the money. Like, we had a guy who said, "Hey, listen, I can't pay you rent. I had to pay other bills instead. What do you do?" Obviously, we're going to serve him his notice. Like, I run a business, I can't keep you in there. But you
Mhm.
start to get this a lot more. we work out promises to pay with people. We're having a lot more promises to pay. And the thing is we don't have that problem in my stabilized mobile home parks because I have placed people in there. So I have different levels of mobile home parks, right? This one that I'm referring to, I've just bought, and I inherited a bunch of just non-qualified people, if I can say that. We have some good people in there, but he didn't do real credit, background, income checks, calling, referrals. He didn't do any of that. He's just anybody with money. He's just dropping them in there. So we have a lot of bad eggs, and that's the park. So we have a lower income class, and that's what we're seeing with those people, like the servers, the waiters, the people doing odd jobs. Like they're finding it harder and harder to pay their bills. And then we have like the next step up. So still kind of like middle lower class to upper lower class, and like they are paying their rent. They're still struggling. And we had talks to them about our rent increases, and we did a very moderate rent increase compared to what I wanted to do, just because of where the economy's at. So we did not go up where I really wanted to go because we're still below market. And like we had to have a talk with people. And so to do that, I also had to do improvements to the park. So, we reinvested quite a bit of money back into the parks to show people like, hey, this is what it's going to, like, we need to keep the community up. And people were very happy with that. But we're still noticing across the board, people are strapped, man. People are strapped. But yeah, I don't have payment problems in 2 of my parks. In my 3rd park where I inherited those tenants, we have a lot of payment problems. I mean, when we booted a lot of people out, we have a lot of vacants now. And then we have probably 2 more people, maybe 3, that we're going to have to probably remove.
Crazy, man. Wishing the best for everybody out there. You got to feel for everybody.
Yeah. Dude, it's 6 to 1, half to the other. It's like, what do you do with these people? It's like you can evict them, you can ask them to leave. Either way, you're going to be waiting. You're not going to get your money. I've had it happen a few times where when you go to evict them, they want to pay and catch up. So what I like to do is when I'm cleaning house, if you evict somebody for non-payment, they have the right to pay and stay. So the key when I buy something is I don't transfer them over to an annual lease. I keep them, usually I'm buying shit on a month to month because I'm buying it from a mom to pop. I keep them on that, and I inherit the rights to that previous month to month. And when somebody I notice is a non-payer, not a late payer, there's a difference between a late payer and a non-payer. When I notice you're a non-payer, I will just give you whatever the state regulate, like Georgia's 60 days. And I'll just say, you're out in 60 days. I'm not renewing your month-to-month lease. And yeah, I say you still owe me the money, but let's be honest. Like, they're not. They didn't have it before. They're not going to magically. Yeah, they're not magically going to have it. And I avoid an eviction. And they leave. Now, if they fight that and they want to stay, then I go to eviction. But now I'm not evicting for non-payment. I'm evicting because they didn't leave when I asked them to leave. So I'm going to have to remove them from my property. That's kind of what we're doing.
Feel that, man. I feel bad. I'm definitely noticing more of an uptick in seeing homeless people in the area. I don't know if that has anything to do or can't directly correlate it, but definitely feel for those folks, man.
Are you in California? Because that would make sense.
No, I know that's probably the mecca. It's gonna be crazy to see how stuff shakes out, man. Hoping for the best, just with everything. Crazy world we're living in.
I mean, dude, like there's so much shit that could happen over the next couple of months. They took away Kennedy's Secret Service, so why? I mean, he's still. People are arguing because he withdrew, but he didn't. He's still on some ballots. And listen, this half of his family has been murdered and assassinated. Like JFK, RFK, and JFK Jr. all seem to be missing or dead. Known dead or missing. JFK Jr. is just people think he's still alive, but his plane went down. It's like Elvis. Everyone thinks he's still alive, but he's not.
Tupac.
Speaking of which, okay, listen. This is way off topic. I've been introducing myself.
Close us out with something good.
I introduced my son to Elvis, right?
Nice.
And I'm just going down this rabbit hole, and he's just upset Elvis is dead. Every Elvis fan has to process Elvis's death, even like 50 years after Elvis has died.
Mhm.
He's 9. He still needs to process that this guy that he saw the movie. He's been listening to every
That's what I was
single
gonna ask if you
song.
saw the movie.
Yeah, saw the movie. He has me play. It's every day. He's memorizing the songs. It's just like insane. He's even teaching. Like I'll talk to him about the lyrics, and then he'll go to his mom's and he'll make his mom listen, and he'll teach her about like what the song's about.
That's hilarious.
And like so, he's in depth. Anyway, he's processed it. He's not happy. I go down this rabbit hole, and I know this is a conspiracy. I get it, but coincidentally, in Arkansas, short distance from my park, there is a church with a pastor named Bob Joyce that everybody thinks is Elvis. Now, he has a lot of core. Listen, dude, listen. He sings like Elvis, sounds like Elvis, moves like Elvis, has facial features kind of like Elvis, does a lot of the ticks that Elvis had, even has Elvis's old original custom guitar that he uses. Now, he has denied being Elvis. He has been seen at Graceland. He went to Elvis's daughter's funeral. He is supposedly was dating or is dating Elvis's original girlfriend from before he married Priscilla. And there's all these correlations. And here's the thing. He's just like 30 minutes from my park. So when I go out to Arkansas, guess where I'm going to church? I was
Are
like,
you gonna go see him?
oh, I'm going to
Bring your
fucking
son?
see him. I was trying, like, we're trying to figure out if I can bring him because of school being back in. It's a multi-day trip and missing school, all that. But I'm like, even if, like, I get it's a long shot, but could you imagine that? Now, listen, there's a thing with his age. The only thing that doesn't match up is the age difference. Supposedly, this guy's about like 8 years younger than what Elvis would be, but everyone, obviously, conspiracy theorists talk about plastic surgery that he did, and there's rumors that Elvis, when back in the day, originally thought that Elvis had plastic surgery and was alive somewhere, and now they're saying this is where he's alive at. And he has been known to be around all of Elvis's old acquaintances. But like, who is this dude from Benton, Arkansas, that's a pastor at a little church, middle of nowhere? It's wild, dude.
Elvis is the one person that has a lot of people that like imitate him, though, right?
Yeah, there
Like
are
a lot of there's like a convention of people that go and like dress
dude,
up like him.
and there's phenomenal. Like I follow a couple of the guys that are like, dude, like there's one guy out of Netherlands that his voice, I mean, looks nothing like him, but his voice is like so close to being identical to Elvis that like when you listen to the songs, you're like, damn, this is good. And then there's obviously your bad ones, but dude, it's not just the fact that he sings like Elvis. It's all the other things. So I went down. TikTok is very good at
Is he
going
like
down
on
rabbit
Google?
holes.
Is he on Google Images?
You're gonna have to go to TikTok. I'm sure you could Google Bob Joyce / Elvis, and there'll be stuff on Google. But you go down the TikTok rabbit hole of is Elvis still alive and Bob Joyce, and you tell me if there's not so many similarities. That and all the way to the Elvis's grandmother's picture being Bob Joyce has it in his house. Like, why do you have Elvis's grandmother's picture in your house, bro? Like,
Oh no,
why is that?
he's all over. He's all over Google. Bob Joyce Elvis.
He has denied it, but also kind of smirked at it while denying it. It's almost like a sarcastic denial. And he refers to Elvis in a lot of his sermons, and it's like, is this the smartest marketer that we've ever known? I don't know.
That's crazy, man.
So anyway, I'm going to go see it, whether I bring my son or not. I want to bring him if I can, but like, I was just like, dude, this is wild. This is wild, bro.
That is wild.
And I wanted to do a follow-up with you.
Please.
So you and I had talked about TikTok versus Instagram.
Yep.
And you had kind of called me out like, nah, dude, like with Instagram, you could fast forward, rewind. So I did my update, and you're right. But here's what I find funny. All the features that TikTok has come out with that they have like responding to comments with reels or videos. You know what I mean? Like all these different things that TikTok does, I now notice Instagram doing, and it just furthers the point that I made on the other episode. Mark Zuckerberg, all he does, and I get it, imitation is a form of flattery, but like he literally just copies everybody else's stuff. It's like
Mhm.
TikTok leads it with all of this stuff, and then Mark comes behind and he does it. So I started noticing all of these features that TikTok has. I'm now seeing on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't here before. Oh, but now it is. Like this is interesting. Okay, like they're really trying to copy this.
So TikTok's the leader, and then I saw someone mentioning too, or even just a TikTok video that put like, I saw like
Name
random like Cavs
name one
Warriors.
time Facebook has ever led. Mark Zuckerberg has ever led anything. Name one time he has ever invented something prior to anybody else. Name any software he has that was first to market or first inventing of anything. Not even Facebook.
I need to watch that movie, the Facebook movie.
MySpace was before Facebook. MySpace was arguably better than Facebook.
Could see your top 8.
Bro, how vicious was it?
Top 8 was
it was
vicious.
top 5, wasn't it? Top 5? Was it top 8?
Top 8. You could
top
love
8?
I think top 8 was the.
Was it top 8? Bro, how vicious was that? I remember I used to like, and you'd move them. It was on the left-hand side or something. And you'd like move them up or whatever. And I mean, like
someone doesn't like your Derrick Henry pick, makes fun of you at the draft. All right, this person's getting down the line a little bit.
It was the best.
You could put a little song on there, your song, and someone's scrolling your profile.
And you had the background, and you kind of like had that like wallpaper, and you do whatever you want with it, and like it was really
it was like kind of like a little custom website,
yeah, it was like your personality. I thought MySpace was phenomenal, and then Mark Zuckerberg came out with his own version of it that he supposedly stole from the twins, and everything thereafter he has done, he has stolen from somebody.
Do people still use MySpace? Is that even still a thing?
Yeah, I think it is. It's for music or something now. Somebody bought it. Who bought that? I mean, they got paid. Don't get me wrong. It didn't go defunct. They got paid.
Interesting.
Let's see. How much did MySpace sell for? Oh, that's it. 580 million. 6 years. So Anderson sold MySpace to News Corp. Oh, there you go. Okay. Isn't that Murdoch's company? For 580 million. 6 years later, it sold again for 35. Oh, talk about taking the L, bro. And Justin Timberlake's group bought it. So Justin Timberlake, I think, owns it.
Oh,
in 2011, JT and his media group bought it. I did not know. Yeah, I did not know that. Sorry, I'm reading it as we're talking here. So, but that's wild. I didn't know JT owns it. That's so crazy.
That is wild.
I'm pretty sure I got a page out there somewhere. Like I'd have to go figure out my login. I don't know. It'd be wild because it'd be like circa 2004 Brandon, like a 20-year younger Brandon. I don't know, dude. Next week I would love to go over some. I guess next week we have a guest on. Right, Scott Morris from Lamasu Leads is coming on, where we will talk real estate and all things cold calling, inbound leads, and just how he's a general beast in the sales game and his recommendations for lead gen for new incoming wholesalers and real estate investors, what his thoughts are. But I find it very interesting. I signed up we were doing the research last week, and I signed up for a bunch of refi stuff, trying equity lines of credit, just taking a look at what people offered. And their follow-up game is similar, but yet dissimilar to the wholesaling space. And I have found some very good points inside of what they do that I think could transition very good over to what we do. And like I've talked to some of them obviously, and it's like, I'm still like, I'm trying to like unsubscribe to as much of this crap as possible, but like, dude, they keep coming out of the woodwork. It's like whack-a-mole. But I would love to go over that on one episode. I think we could have a great episode on the refi and equity line of credit, like how they do marketing when you submit an online lead, because that's what I did, right? I submitted an online social media, whatever lead, and how they're generating and how they're doing their follow-ups and their sequences and campaigns to try to get contact with you and how often they're doing that. I think I've saved a bunch of the messages so we could go through them.
Hell yeah. Down for that. Down for that. Well, cool, man. Enjoy your... does college football start this weekend too?
Yeah. Who's your college team? Maryland?
I went to Maryland. I honestly don't follow college that much. I have a Miami football jersey right here, framed Sean Taylor jersey in front of me. So I like University of Miami and
You're a
and
Miami
Maryland.
guy?
I am since I was little.
The Hurricanes?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I respect that. You live in Miami, so you can rep that. I
like
mean,
the
because
Canes.
University of Maryland is what are they? The
They're a football
Terps?
school. Mhm.
Terps?
Terps. They're a basketball school.
I was gonna
But they're,
say
I mean,
they're a
they're good. Tua's brother plays there.
Really?
Your boy.
I don't call Tua my boy. I'm still not sold on Tua. And what do they give him?
Dude,
How
talk
much
nice
money?
about him in case he wants to invest in a mobile home park with all the money he got.
Yeah, he got shit. How much did he get?
A lot. But they just pay the market. That's sports. Is you just have to pay whatever the market is for that position at the time.
Yeah, did you
wanna give him-
watch the Hard Knocks with the Giants and see how they were negotiating?
I didn't. I watched the first episode with the Bears and your
Like-
boy Caleb Williams.
I thought it was very interesting with what happened with Saquon. I didn't know.
I saw that clip. I did
saw
see
that?
the Saquon
Were
clip.
they-
I haven't
they
seen
were-
the full thing.
He wanted like 12 mil, and they're like, okay, like go back, like the fairest. We don't want to give you that. We don't think. And they were nice. We don't think that it's really worth it. But what we'll do is we'll let you go see what the market will pay you, and give us a chance, and we'll match it.
Yeah.
And like he went out, and he got even more money and a higher guaranteed amount. And I was
From
like,
the team in the division that they said, I saw the clip. They're like, man, I
Yeah.
really hope he doesn't go to the Giants
the Eagles. Yeah, it was the
or
Giants.
the Eagles. Excuse me,
Yeah.
Eagles. Yeah.
And he ended up going to the Eagles, and they paid him this, and he ended up getting like I think it was like $30-some million,
Mhm.
which was more than, and it was like mostly guaranteed. I think 20 some of it was guaranteed. It was insane. Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting. I'm like, man, like it really is a marketplace. Like it's not the way they have it structured is very much a free market, and like they have these value ranges for these players. And I just found it very intriguing to watch. I don't know if anyone hasn't watched it. I would recommend it's on Amazon Prime if you have it. And it's like, oh, this guy's 5 to 8 million. His market's going to be like 3. We could get this quarterback between like 3 and some million, or this one between 5 and 8. This one's going to cost us like 12 mil. And it's like that's how they look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was just ignorance of me. I didn't know that's how it went.
It's interesting. It's a marketplace like many other things, or a market. Everybody has a market.
I mean, I guess. I'm rooting for the Dolphins. Are you going to root for the Dolphins this year?
Oh yeah. I
Okay.
root for the Dolphins. I like Miami teams.
Okay, so we can do that. But I mean,
Yeah.
the Ravens are.
And Derrick Henry. You'll be rooting for Derrick Henry if you have him on your team, of course.
The fasting thing has really thrown.
Ah man, what a beast! That's just a primal dude.
I mean, that you really threw me for a loop there because I was gonna. I mean, he's not in my keeper list. I have to finalize it tonight, and I already put together my rough draft, and that's not it. He's not in it.
What a beast! During the season, he doesn't eat his first meal till 4 or 5, and eats only one meal. One other meal.
There's a
usually
reason
around
why
8.
they call him King Henry.
What a beast! What an absolute
Giant.
beast!
I'll consider it, bro. I'm gonna consider it. I will.
Keep me
I will
posted.
Consider it.
Keep me posted. Well, Papa P, you have yourself a great rest of the day here, and we'll catch you guys later. Catch you guys next week.
Lock and load.